Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second semifinal match of Alliance Tournament 7. We have Circle of Two versus Beyond Virginity. Circle of Two on your left have brought two Abaddons, one Damnation, two Hurricanes, one Guardian, two Sabers, and two Thrashers. Basically the same setup they brought for the last couple matches.
And Beyond Virginity bringing back their same winning setup with the Tempest, two Ravens, a Vulture, Basilisk, Hugin, and Thrasher, and a Saber.
As you can see, the teams are kind of diagonal to each other. There's probably, maybe 70k between the farthest teams away from each other at the back. They've warped in from beacons pretty close to each other at varying ranges depending on which ship. So they're all relatively close. It shouldn't take too long. Obviously, the CO2 team a little more dependent on range, although both teams relatively close range setups. The Tempest definitely running autocannons for Beyond Virginity, and the Ravens running torps as well, I believe.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing that I don't like about this match. Both teams have, clearly proven that they deserve to be here. Beyond Virginity, coming all the way from low sec out to here. CO2, I believe. I don't remember where CO2 is.
They're
based
from
out.
the north. They're 0-0 PvPers. We have the match underway now. Drones are out. Ships are moving. Seeing some shield maintenance bots off the bat from Beyond Virginity, and a lot of damage drones headed up to the Beyond Virginity team from the CO2 team.
All right, and we've also got some tracking disruptors, possibly some remote sensor dampeners running. I see target painters, shield maintenance bots running for the BYDI team, I think that is. And, they may already be in trouble. That Basilisk has got to stay alive. Clearly, it's the primary target by the Circle of Two team. If it goes down, it could end up being the linchpin now. Perhaps BYDI, fielding the same setup, decide to try and bait with that ship, but their damage hasn't really been applied yet, although that Circle of Two Hurricane's starting to drop into armor now.
Yeah, the Beyond Virginity Basilisk both running an active shield tank and getting plenty of support in the form of shield maintenance bots and cap transfer from the Ravens, so definitely they're prepared to have him as a target call, but he's still struggling, low shields for sure, and we'll have to see if he can hang in there, while the Hurricane for the CO2 team has been repped back to full, so both teams for now keeping their tanks alive.
Now, one of the nice things is we're not seeing any actual Caldari jammers. We're not seeing ECM fielded. So most of these teams are going to be able to do full DPS depending on, of course, tracking disruptors and dampening. Oh, and we just lost one of the Sabers for the Circle of Two team. That's not a whole lot of DPS, but it's going to be something that, could affect them.
Yeah, that's a nice target switch. They're shooting at the Hurricane. They bounce over to the Saber before the Logistics has time to switch targets, and they bring it down real quick. And that's good. The Sabers and Thrashers that we've seen can be really important. They bring enough DPS to be worth worrying about, and they are definitely good anti-support. So the Beyond Virginity, Saber, Thrasher, Hugin all have to worry about those CO2 destroyers as well.
Yeah, BYDI doing exactly what I said they do, being able to quickly identify exactly what's going on in the field, change targets quickly, adjusting to the situation rather than just letting an initial strategy dictate the entire fight. That's their real strength here. They're going to be able to very quickly shift from target to target, from opportunity to opportunity, and it's already working for them as we see Thrasher down, going into low armor, Saber out with one of the Hurricanes in very, very low armor, and we did lose that Basilisk, so it's going to be a tough fight for BYDI out from here, but that doesn't mean that they're done.
No, that was really awesome. For a long time, the Saber on the CO2 side getting reps, but the rep cycles are huge. They took him to full armor in one swing, and at the same time, the incoming damage would take him all the way through armor and structure. We're seeing that again with the Thrashers right now as the CO2 Thrashers get targeted. One more of those down. At the same time, the CO2 Hurricane taking a lot of damage as well. The Logistics hopefully focusing on him if it has a lock, but there he goes anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole lot of support out for the Circle of Two team. That could hurt them, as those Thrashers and Sabers offering a little bit of an E-War platform with dampeners or tracking disruptors. Now, I'm hoping that the BYDI Hugin pilot and the Thrasher and the Saber were doing their job getting rid of that support. Now they're going to be able to put their DPS onto the bigger ships. And really, like I've been saying all tournament long, those Thrashers do a lot. They can really, really pack a punch. A normal fit doing around 300, 350 DPS with a max skilled character and the right setup, you can look as high as 450.
Now, this Mystery Tempest that I still don't really know exactly how it's set up is going down in a hurry without logistics there to support it. They got through the shield tank really quickly. The structure held up a little while, but there he goes. So Beyond Virginity down one of their battleships. That's a lot of their damage. Now, no doubt CO2 will move on to one of their Ravens, or if it's close. The CO2 Hurricane was switched to right after the first Hurricane went down. He did a smart thing, ran out of range. He actually anticipated being called the second target and went out of range before he was tackled. That's why Beyond Virginity has now switched to the Abaddon. The Hurricane's not close enough, or wasn't anyway when they started shooting him.
And that's some really good strategy coming from the Circle of Two team. Clearly, they realize that they're going to have to change it up if they want to win. BYDI, once they've lost that Tempest, that is a lot of DPS. That may really affect them. Already, that other Raven going into low shields. And as we've seen in the past, Raven's not exactly the best armored tankers. Whether or not he can hold on is going to be a tough call. This may be the flip for this match. I still hope that BYDI can pull something out, but they're going to need a miracle at this point.
Yeah, they're not looking good. Losing logistics was really bad news. The Guardian for CO2 having an okay time keeping that Abaddon alive. The Abaddon having a resistance bonus in armor as well as plenty of low sots. He's really not going to be an easy thing to kill even without the Guardian. The Raven, meanwhile, for Beyond Virginity into structure and going down. I think this looks pretty in hand for CO2 at the moment unless something really drastic changes. Beyond Virginity really can't do much without that damage, and really from the start of the fight can't do much without their logistics. It was kind of a race at the start there, and CO2 definitely won.
Yeah, the linchpin clearly was that logistics. So without that logistics, it's just going to be a matter of time. We'll see if BYDI can at least slap CO2 around a little, show them what's up. Who knows, we could get something interesting and local. This fight's not completely over. There is still some entertainment left to be had, but BYDI not likely to make it on in any shape or form after this.
I don't think these Abaddons are active tanks. Someone's asking in my channel. I just lost Thrasher for Beyond Virginity, just stumbled in too close and got tackled. Now CO2 shooting at the Guardian. A lot of people have asked why the logistics ships don't always get targeted earlier, and to be honest, it's a question I have as well. There's always the possibility that it's a bait ship, and so people could avoid it for that reason. There's also the possibility that they imagine they can overpower the DPS and just ignore the logistics and save themselves the time, knock the DPS out earlier in the fight. But it seems to me that a lot of teams that take that route are having to switch to logistics late in the fight, like this Beyond Virginity team is right now. It looks like they could have killed the Guardian maybe if they'd have started earlier when they had all three battleships. There could be something I'm missing, but it looks to me like that could have been a bad target call on their part to begin the match. At this point, probably not enough DPS to bring that Guardian down before they lose the Raven and lose the match.
I mean, it could happen still. It's unlikely, but it could happen. And, it's always a tough call when you look at the ships being fielded. And BYDI is so far showing that they can, in general, out DPS and put more damage onto, the heavy damage hitting ships from other teams with or without logistics on the field. In this situation, maybe the wrong call. You really never can know until you see the kill mails. And if they can't actually pop that Guardian, we may never know whether or not it would have been the right call.
Yeah, the Guardian's still going down. He's really only got a couple ships shooting at him, and he's hurting pretty bad. It's not going to make a difference, I think, with the two Abaddons and the Damnation. That alone is enough tank that it's probably unlikely Beyond Virginity could take it down by the end of the match. Since the Raven's torpedo fit, it really doesn't have the option of trying to make a run for it, even though it would get tackled. That's really not available, simply because the torpedoes keep it close. The Guardian now pretty low HP. The Raven in armor, though, so he'll be dropping real quick.
Well, I mean, it's possible. I'm trying to get a good look at the ranges. It looks like those Abaddons may not be able to really get their full damage to bear on that Raven. He may be just far enough out of position, or they may be sensor dampening those Abaddons in such a way that they can't actually target the Raven. So he's actually continuing to do damage on this Guardian while still staying alive in very low armor, and he's smart bombing.
Yes,
That's pretty
I should
interesting.
check to make sure he had torpedoes. I know that at least one of them did, and I know they have in previous matches. It kind of begs the question, what is killing the Guardian if the Raven is so far away, as he definitely is. I see Scorch running on the Abaddon, so he must be close enough at least that they think there's a possibility he could hit him, which is like probably 50, 60k range. And still the Raven for Beyond Virginity not moving that fast. I don't know if he's... Oh, he does have at least some propulsion mod. He's speeding up to over 500 right now, which is definitely faster than the Abaddons can do.
Yeah, probably afterburner fitted. That's a pretty unusual choice. I don't know.
No, that's a micro warp. He's up over 800
Oh,
now.
okay. Yeah, that's definitely micro warp. I don't think we've seen, at least an afterburner one, definitely seen micro warp drives before. He's still holding on with just a little bit of hero tank left. He, isn't going to change the outcome of this game, but he may take a few people with him. And, BYDI doesn't like to go down easy. They don't just tuck tail and run. They usually stick it out right to the bitter end.
I'm wondering, most of the ships in this fight, maybe the Vulture would have the hardest time keeping range, but they could draw the fight out. They could try and, finish off the Hurricane. Without logistics support, it's possible they could earn more points and potentially earn enough points to keep them in the tournament. But as that Raven does finally get finished off, leaving only 3 ships, all of which don't have much damage to really, use at all, it's pretty unlikely there's anything they have as an option right now.
And, I'm pretty sure that the kill mail for that Raven is going to say that that damnation was firing heavy missiles and not assault missiles. I think that damnation may be what actually killed that Raven off, and not the Abaddons. That is really interesting.
Yeah, they're heavy missiles for sure, and I think that's definitely could be possible, that he was one of the only things still doing damage after that Raven got out so far. It's interesting that they didn't have him tackled. I'm wondering if the Hurricanes had any tackle at all. It looks like the Hurricane is actually tackled, that no doubt because they switched to him now. The Hugin might have just been keeping him still, and so there was nothing that really had the option to get out to the Raven, even just with speed as the only obstacle.
Yeah, BYDI using all of the ships that they had left on the field to very clearly control the position and try and give them the best possible chance at survival. Not going to be enough in that situation as the Vulture starts to hit armor. Vulture heavy shield tank, not such a strong armor tank as usual with most Caldari ships. Probably going to pop pretty quick here.
Yeah, he's going down real fast. The Vulture is an interesting ship. We've seen it used. We were joking a lot earlier. We saw Vulture running all newts in the highs with gang links. Maybe not a bad idea, but it's definitely an interesting command ship. A lot of teams needing the shield bonus, but it doesn't have quite as clear of a role as a support ship as the Claymore does, which really can do a lot of damage and move around the field pretty well. And it doesn't. I don't know. The Damnation, I guess, is kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, EOS and Vulture, it's both been fairly common in the tournament, but not necessarily as well received as effective combat ships. The Claymore and the Damnation definitely being the preference for most people, in part because speed being such an important aspect of the game and maneuverability in 0-0 Empire, low sec, as well as the Damnation providing those armor bonuses, which pretty much benefit any sort of fleet operation pretty heavily.
So now with CO2, this Hurricane's in pretty low armor, but I think it's safe to say they're getting through this match. It's really interesting to think about what they're going to do going into a finals against PL. PL, we've talked a lot just now about how awesome they are and how they're capable of switching setups and they're capable of anticipating. And at this point, CO2 has brought a setup that looked really similar. At least for the last 2 matches, they brought identical setups, which worked fine. And I believe they brought, I'm looking now, they've been running the same, at least 2 Abaddons and a Damnation and 2 Hurricanes. Yeah, and a Guardian, the same setup for the last 4 matches, it looks like to me. They brought it for the last round of qualifying as well as our round of 32 match yesterday. So they're going to need to pull something out, or I think Pandemic Legion will have just as easy a time as they did in their semifinals match.
And that's going to be the last ship for the Beyond Virginity team. Good showing, guys. Thanks for coming out. Sorry you're going home without prizes. That's going to be pretty much everything. So I think we are going to pass it back to the studio. Soundwave, you ready?